Alright, so today we're going to talk power cleans. We're going to go through the progression for it, some simple steps that you can use to get the athlete in a position, what we're really looking for, and some cueing. So initially with the power clean, the snatch, deadlift, anything like that, we're making sure that the athlete understands what the hinge is. They understand how to differentiate hip flexion, lumbar extension or flexion, and that they understand how to generate a posterior weight shift on the heels. So with that, you're looking for a posterior glide with the inferior roll of the femur, essentially to allow it to glide back in the socket. So with that, if the athlete doesn't understand that initially, we would use something like a PVC pipe or anything that's fairly straight. We would put them in this position with 3 points of contact, back of the head, in between the shoulder blades, top of the butt, and we would drill that they understand that position and what it feels like from different positions to keep that hinge. Again, we might put them up against a wall, have them push their hips back, anything like that, which is a simple regression. From here, we would move them onto the platform and we would talk through grip. So initially, when we bend down to pick up the bar, we're going to set our hands, and with the grip, we're going to go about a thumb's width out from our legs. So that's to ensure that on your catch position, that the hands don't actually land on the shoulders. You're just outside of the shoulders. So from there, then we want to ensure that the athlete understands the hook grip, wrapping the fingers around the thumb on the bar. So now we're in our setup position, we got our grip and everything's in place. We want to talk through our 4 initial positions that we're going to use before we even put weight on the bar. So the first one is our power position, or our base position here. Slight amount of hip flexion as well as knee flexion. The athlete, again, understands how to sit back and differentiate the hips from the lumbar spine. Good, so that's our first position. Second position is going to be top of the knee. So here we're going to get a little more of that hinge and a slight amount more of knee flexion. Yep, all the way back up. Give me one more. Down the top of the knee. Again, bar comes up into the hip. Yep, back up. Good. Now, our third position, we're going to go just below the kneecap. So here, all the way down. Again, as she brings the bar up, it's going to sweep into the hip. It's not just going to come straight up. We want to make sure that the lats stay cued, that the bar stays pulled into the hip. So you can check that on your athletes. And our final position is going to be mid-shin, which is going to simulate pulling off the floor with some plates on the bar. So again, tempo, watch the tempo. She's going to be slow above the knee and then fast into the hip. Now, they ingrain those 4 positions. They understand what it's supposed to look like, what it's supposed to feel like. From here, we're going to go through each position with a simple pull or 2. So with this, when she gets into her power position or her base position, we're looking for her to drive through the whole foot, making sure the toes aren't up, but that the whole foot is on the floor, and she's driving through the majority of the weight is on her heels. So from here, she's going to drive straight up. Good, give me one more there. Good, as she drives up, you want to watch, make sure this bar doesn't float out in front of them, and that they're driving up vertically. They're not trying to take their hips into the bar and shoot the bar in front of them. Everything is happening in a straight vertical fashion. So now we're going to go above the knee. Coming down above the knee. Good, straight up. Nice. One more. Drive it straight up. Good, lats stay engaged, bar stays tight to the hip. Now we're going to go below the knee. Slow, good. Again, tempo, slow to above the knee. Brings it into the hip and then comes straight up with it. Final position, we're going to go mid-shin. Slow, good, just like that, perfect. Good. Now, from here, we want to teach the athlete about ripping the elbows high. So, we're going to go hang from just above the knee. And from here, we want them to bring the bar into the hip, drive full extension, and then they're going to rip the elbows up and high. So give me 2 there. Make sure not to hitch. Full hip extension, drive the elbows high. Good. Now, from this position, we're going to add some weight, and we'll go through a few simple static holds. Now, once we start the weight off the floor, we're initially going to build the athlete from the bottom up. We kind of went from the top down, from the hip down to mid-shin. Now we're going to work from mid-shin up to high hip. Again, with each of these positions, you just want to make sure that the athlete understands how to hold that position, how to brace effectively in that position, not compensate with the spinal directors in order to keep the hinge, things like that. So first position, we're going to set our hands, just going to pull off the floor, just about an inch or 2, hold that position, good, and then back down. Now, she's going to come up just below the knee, good. There's your first pull. Now we're going to transition into the first pull and the second pull, good, back down, And now we're going to go into the second pull. She's going to actually come into the hip. Good. And back down. Good, relax. Now from here, we've talked through the hang clean without weight. Now we're just going to simply have an athlete bring it up into the hip, come back down to the hang from just above the knee, and now we're going to go through the high pull. So again, we set our grip all the way up to the hip. Good. Back down to the hang from just above the knee, and then a high pull. Driving the elbows up nice and high. Yep. And one more. Nice and high. Good. And now from here, I want the athlete to come down again to the high hang, just above the knee. Now, same thing. Driving the elbows nice and high, and then shoot them underneath fast. Good. Nice. Good. Come all the way back down. Now, relax. From here, when they set up, one of the main things that you want to look for is that the bar is right over the midfoot. Again, they're going to have a tough time navigating the knees and whatnot, and a lot of times you're going to want to come around the knees. You got to make sure that that's coming up directly vertical and into the hip. So we've done some high pulls. Now we've done some power cleans from just above the knee. Now if they understand that and that looks good, we'll go into the full clean from the floor. Again, check the grip. Make sure the bar is over the midfoot. Sweep into the hips, slow off the floor. Slow coming up to the knees, fasten the hips. Good. Back down. So again, just some simple progressions that you can utilize with your athletes or your clients. Everyone likes to teach a little bit differently, but that's what I found to work pretty well with a lot of my athletes. So I hope that was helpful.